Warm greetings to all of our viewers. I am your host Diana, and today we venture into the captivating realm of psychology. Our focus will be on a vital yet often overlooked aspect of emotional health: emotional dysregulation. What do we mean by emotional dysregulation? In its simplest form, it refers to an inability to manage and control emotional responses. This could be an overreaction to a situation that most people would find manageable, or an underreaction to a circumstance that typically triggers a strong emotional response. It's like having a volume knob for your emotions that's stuck on high or low, with no middle ground. Understanding emotional dysregulation is not just about identifying the problem, it's about acknowledging how deeply it can affect our lives. This is because it's more than just being out of touch with our feelings. It's about the struggle to keep our emotional responses in check, leading to harmful behaviors and creating new traumas. Imagine being on a roller coaster with no brakes. The highs are too high, the lows are too low, and the ride never seems to end. That's what emotional dysregulation can feel like. It can cause conflicts and relationship issues, leading to a cycle of emotional turmoil that seems almost impossible to break. However, there's a silver lining to this. By understanding emotional dysregulation, we begin to see that it's not about suppressing or ignoring our emotions. Instead, it's about learning to navigate them, to understand their origin, and to express them in healthy and productive ways. The good news is that emotional dysregulation isn't a life sentence. With self-awareness and the right tools, we can learn to regulate our emotional responses effectively. And the first step in this journey is understanding what emotional dysregulation is and how it impacts us. So understanding emotional dysregulation is our first step towards managing and expressing our emotions effectively. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the subject, offering insights and strategies to help navigate this complex emotional landscape. Before we delve into the impacts, let's first understand what emotional dysregulation really is. In the realm of psychology, emotional dysregulation is a term used to describe emotions that are poorly modulated and that can have swift and dramatic shifts. These volatile emotions can be extremely hard to manage and can cause a lot of distress. Emotional dysregulation can take many forms. Some people might struggle with chronic sadness or persistent anxiety, while others might have difficulty managing anger or frustration. It's important to note that emotional dysregulation isn't just about negative emotions. It can also involve positive emotions that are so intense they become overwhelming. Now, what causes emotional dysregulation? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. It can be due to a variety of factors, including genetics, environmental influences, and underlying mental health conditions. Stressful life events, trauma, and even certain personality traits can also contribute to emotional dysregulation. Understanding these causes and triggers is a key part of learning to manage emotional dysregulation. With this understanding, we can now explore the profound impacts of emotional dysregulation. So let's continue our journey into this complex emotional landscape. Now, imagine a scenario where emotions dictate your actions. Sounds chaotic, doesn't it? This is the reality for individuals struggling with emotional dysregulation. Picture yourself in a situation where you're overwhelmed with emotions, and instead of managing them, you allow them to take the steering wheel. The result? A tumultuous journey that can lead to harmful behaviors and even create new traumas. Emotional dysregulation is like a storm in the mind, where emotions are not just raindrops but torrential downpours. These emotions, if not managed well, can flood our lives, causing us to react impulsively, sometimes even destructively. This can manifest in various forms, like lashing out in anger, withdrawing in sadness, or succumbing to anxiety's paralyzing grip. These reactions, as you might guess, can result in significant harm to ourselves and those around us. The damage is not just emotional, but can also be physical, social, and psychological. For instance, emotional outbursts can strain relationships, create conflicts, and lead to a sense of guilt and regret. On the other hand, suppressing emotions can lead to internal turmoil, resulting in stress, anxiety, and in severe cases even depression. Moreover, these emotionally charged situations have a way of embedding themselves in our minds, creating new traumas that continue to haunt us. Like a vicious cycle, these new traumas can trigger further emotional dysregulation, making it more challenging to break free from this pattern. It's like being stuck in a maze of emotions, where every turn seems to lead to a dead end. But it's important to remember that this maze is not a prison. There are ways to navigate through it, ways to understand and manage these overwhelming emotions, and that's where emotional regulation comes into play. It's like a compass guiding us through this maze, helping us understand our emotions, manage them effectively, and express them in a healthy manner. That's why emotional regulation is key to maintaining a healthy mental state and relationships. It's not about suppressing emotions, but rather learning to navigate through them. So let's dive deeper into how we can manage emotional dysregulation in the next segment. Stay tuned. So, how do we deal with this emotional whirlwind? A pertinent question indeed. Let's delve into the depths of managing emotional dysregulation. The first and foremost strategy is to slow things down. It's like taking a stroll in a serene garden instead of racing on a bustling highway. When emotions run high, our rationality often takes a back seat. By consciously slowing down our thought process, we can reduce the overwhelming rush of emotions and regain perspective. This is not about ignoring or suppressing feelings, but rather about giving ourselves the space to understand them better. Next, let's talk about timing. Picture this: you're seething with anger, and you want to express it immediately. But wait, take a moment to emotionally regulate before expressing yourself. It's like waiting for a pot of boiling water to cool down before sipping. When we're angry, we're more likely to say things we might regret later, causing more harm than good. So it's beneficial to cool down, process your emotions, and then express them in a calm and controlled manner. Now, imagine having a personal diary where you jot down your feelings. Sounds therapeutic, right? Writing down emotions can be a powerful tool in healing emotional dysregulation. It's like having a conversation with your own self, where you can vent without fear of judgment or repercussions. This simple activity helps us to identify patterns in our emotional responses, understand our triggers, and devise better coping mechanisms. It's like mapping out a complex maze. Once you have it on paper, it becomes easier to navigate. In essence, managing emotional dysregulation is about understanding and taking control of our emotional responses. It's about not letting our emotions drive us, but rather learning to steer them in the right direction. It's about transforming from being a puppet of our emotions to becoming the puppeteer. Remember, patience and introspection are your allies in this journey. So take a deep breath, slow down, write it out, and give yourself the space and time to process your feelings. It's not an overnight transformation, but a gradual process of self-discovery and growth. Now let's address an important question. How can we remain productive amid all these emotional upheavals? Emotions are powerful and can sometimes feel overwhelming. In these moments, it can be beneficial to express these feelings in ways that are constructive rather than destructive. One such method is writing down your emotions. This practice offers a safe outlet for your feelings and can help clear your mind. Put pen to paper and let your feelings flow, be it in the form of a letter, a diary entry, a poem, or even a simple list. This emotional release can give you a sense of relief, helping you regain focus and boosting your productivity. But what if writing isn't your thing? That's perfectly fine. Physical activity is another excellent way to channel your overwhelming emotions. You might be surprised at how a brisk walk, a run, or a dance session can help you process your feelings. Exercise releases endorphins, the feel-good hormones, which can improve your mood and provide a fresh perspective. It also helps reduce stress and anxiety, allowing you to approach tasks with a clearer, more focused mind. Yet it's not just about releasing emotions, it's about understanding them. By expressing your feelings, either on paper or through physical activity, you're also gaining insight into your emotional patterns. You're identifying triggers and recognizing how your emotions impact your actions. This self-awareness is a stepping stone to better emotional regulation, which in turn leads to enhanced productivity. Remember, productivity isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about managing them effectively. It's about acknowledging that it's okay to have strong feelings and finding healthy ways to express them. So embrace your emotions. Let them out in a way that works for you. Write them down, run them off, dance them out, whatever it takes to clear your mind and keep you moving forward. Because at the end of the day, emotions are not the enemy of productivity. Mismanaged emotions are. So even in the midst of emotional turmoil, you can reclaim your productivity. It's time to take control and overcome emotional dysregulation. One of the most empowering steps we can take is to develop self-awareness. You see, emotional dysregulation often stems from a lack of understanding about our own emotions. When we're not fully in tune with what we're feeling, our emotions can seem like an unpredictable storm, sweeping us away in its whirlwind. But by cultivating self-awareness, we can start to recognize the early signs of emotional dysregulation, like heightened sensitivity or a quickened heartbeat, and take proactive steps to calm the storm before it rages out of control. Developing self-awareness is a journey of introspection and honesty. It involves acknowledging our feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, and understanding what triggers those feelings. This process can be as simple as taking a few quiet moments each day to check in with ourselves, asking, "How am I feeling right now? What is causing these feelings?" And remember, it's essential to approach this exploration with kindness and compassion. There's no right or wrong answer, only the truth of your own experience. In addition to self-awareness, there are practical tools we can use to manage and overcome emotional dysregulation. Mindfulness, for example, teaches us to stay present and focused, not getting swept away by our emotions. Techniques like deep breathing or progressive muscle relaxation can help to calm our physiological response, reducing the intensity of our emotions. And cognitive behavioral therapy can help us to challenge and change the unhelpful thought patterns that often accompany emotional dysregulation. When we are already upset, it's advisable to avoid discussing our trauma in detail. The heightened emotional state can make it harder for us to process these experiences effectively, potentially leading to re-traumatization. Instead, we can use the tools at our disposal to help regulate our emotions first, creating a safer space for us to explore and express our feelings. Overcoming emotional dysregulation is not an overnight process, but with persistence, it is achievable. Remember, it's not about eliminating our emotions, but learning to navigate them effectively. And every step we take on this journey is a step towards greater emotional health and well-being. Let's delve deeper into the connection between emotional regulation and brain regulation. This interplay is a fascinating and complex dance that governs our day-to-day lives. When we are in emotional turmoil, our brain often goes into overdrive, trying to make sense of the storm. However, rushing to express these feelings can actually make matters worse, causing us to say and do things we might later regret. Instead, it's crucial we take a step back and allow ourselves time to regulate before expressing these emotions. This pause, this space we give ourselves, allows our brain to process what we're going through. It's like letting a swirling snow globe settle. Only when the snowflakes have stopped swirling can we see clearly. Waiting until we're regulated to express our emotions doesn't mean repressing or denying our feelings. Quite the contrary, it's about acknowledging what we're feeling, but choosing to express it at a time when we're in a more balanced state. This approach not only helps us articulate our emotions more effectively, but also reduces the likelihood of causing further emotional distress to ourselves and others. When we're regulated, our brain functions more efficiently. We're able to think more clearly, make better decisions, and communicate more effectively. We're also less likely to engage in harmful behaviors that can create new traumas. In essence, emotional and brain regulation go hand in hand. By mastering emotional regulation, we're also nurturing our brain health and vice versa. It's a virtuous cycle that can significantly improve our overall well-being and quality of life. So the next time you're caught in an emotional storm, remember to slow down. Give yourself the time and space to regulate before expressing your feelings. It's not about being silent. It's about speaking out at the right time and in the right way. Remember, timing is everything when it comes to expressing your feelings. We have covered a lot of ground today, all leading to one conclusion. Emotional dysregulation, a term that was perhaps unfamiliar to some of you before this video, can have a profound impact on our lives. It can birth harmful behaviors, generate fresh traumas, and lead to misunderstandings and conflicts in our relationships. While it's natural to experience a spectrum of emotions, letting them control us rather than the other way around can be more damaging than being out of touch with our feelings. But we've also discussed that understanding emotional dysregulation is the first step towards managing and expressing our emotions more effectively. By slowing down, taking a pause, and giving ourselves the time to emotionally regulate before we express our feelings, particularly when we're angry, we can prevent a lot of the damage that unchecked emotions can cause. We've explored how writing down our emotions, expressing them on paper, or channeling them through physical activity can not only help heal emotional dysregulation, but also boost our productivity, After all, a mind unburdened by overwhelming emotions is a mind that's free to think, create, and achieve. And finally, we've talked about how emotional dysregulation can be overcome. Developing self-awareness, using tools and techniques, waiting until we're more emotionally balanced before discussing our traumas, and talking about our feelings at the right time and place. These are all strategies we can use to regulate our emotions and our brains. The journey to emotional regulation isn't always a smooth one, but it's a journey worth undertaking. Emotional balance can bring mental strength, improved relationships, and a more fulfilling life. Thank you for joining us in this enlightening journey. If you found this video helpful, do give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Until next time, stay emotionally balanced and mentally strong.